I'll probably never win a Grammy. Too busy chasing these bandies. I just beat another case. No, they can't stand me. My lawyer at my daughter's birthday now. He family. Got something for him if he think of candy. Paranoia got me.
Good afternoon, family. It's your buddy, the 14th Prime, and sorry for the hiatus. My daughter's birthday was the other day. She turned 21, so I took the day off from making videos and spent the YouTube money on her. Now here I am making the last video for the last day of the month because that's how YouTube does it. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some interview stuff to go over today, including the fact that Hasbro said, and I quote, and we'll get to it, that we are going to get members of season 3 and 4. Not just G1 over again, not a new Jazz with blue windows and not clear plastic. But let's just go on and get into it. We're not going to start off at the top because some of the stuff we really could care less about. But they were asking, like with Titan Scorn, will he share any retooling with Grimlock? And they said, no, it's a completely new tool. All the Dinobots will be brand new. They can't even imagine how they would reuse any of the parts because they all have unique transformations. Yay. Let's get down to stuff we care about. Is Transformers Animated and Transformers Prime figures going to be released in studio series? And would they be directly based on the show models, or would they have the same stylizations that they had in Generations? Evan said it would be show accurate. And they would also be doing their animation models going into studio series. So taking them out of Generations, their true focus is the intent to be close to the content following 86 eventually. They also said, now with Hasbro Asia getting these gift boxes and stuff that we don't get and stickers, is that something that can be introduced? And Nate said, not a priority for our market outside of the Asian market, but it's definitely on the table. So then TFW asked, with the new Haslab, we noticed Lyle Kaiser's quality control is an improvement. Was there a process for that? And Evan said, we're consistently learning as we go. I guess is how we'll put that. Lyle Kaiser was a bit easier in terms of that. No vac metal, no strapping and none of that. So he was a little bit easier to do. And then they were like, is Omega's full combined mode going to be released? And Evan said, yep, I keep getting asked about that. And quite literally, the only reason I haven't shown it is because it's been packed away in our office because of the move. He just has to dig out the instructions and take a photo. That's crazy. So what is the status of Gamer Edition? They said essentially Gamer Edition no longer exists as a sub-segment, but it is just Studio Series itself. And since Studio Series now encompasses pretty much all forms of entertainment, video games, movies, comics, Gamer Edition, it's all just going to be in Studio Series, and it's not going to be called Gamer Edition. So then they were asking, looking at Nexus Prime, was that always the plan, or was that kind of the reaction to fan feedback? And Nate said, not a reaction to fan feedback. I would say just need to have Mark answer that question. There's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of things shifted with the plans of Nexus, and so I guess we'll see that. But Mark can give you a better definitive answer at some point. And it's a to be determined on the frame, to be determined. So they still are saying we might not have a frame for them unless they're waiting on G2 Superion, which is possible. So then, as far as like the timelines is going to take off for a year. Fan votes was more of a marketing polish. They said it's like a silent majority. If Shockwell does well, then they can promise you they'll do another one. But if it doesn't do well, then they're going to stay quiet for a little bit. As far as the video games coming out, they said they would love the games to come out as much as all of us, but there's still no word on the game. They said, will you keep reusing the War for Cybertron trilogy molds, or is this a final run? And he said, that's a good question. I think it depends on the character and what we plan on doing. A lot of the War for Cybertron molds are fantastic, and sometimes we think we can do better than what we have, but that's still a tough question. So yes, I'm guessing more Gamer Edition stuff will come, even though we won't have the game. Will the Studio Series cone heads have different faces or just natural ones? They said they will have different faces. They said they know that TFW asked, we know that IDW and Skybound are currently the biggest focus of the Studio Series comic lines, but are there any other comic series you'd like to do, such as Dreamwave or timelines. And he said, yes, people can expect some Dreamwave stuff, also Generation 1 and 2 comic stuff. Essentially, all comic publishings are on the table, and people should expect to see figures at some point in the future. What else did they ask about? With some of the stuff like Beast Wars 2, Galvatron, and Takara doing, what does this mean that it may, will this affect some of the Japanese things on Hasbro's potential development cycle? And they said it could. They technically want to separate the two companies that share a brand in the same way, but they always have their priorities. They have we have ours, they have theirs. We're only just newly dipping into JG1 in a way as being as accurate as can be. So as far as the notes that are concerned, he said Studio Series will continue. Studio Series 86 will continue with Studio Series not being replaced by Studio Series G1. There's no plans on redoing recent combiners for Studio Series G1. Can they make more than one Titan mold per year? They're aware of people's shelf space, and they're aware of people's shelf space, so they probably won't be making more than one a year. And notably, he did say, let me find this about Metroplex. They had asked about, will seasons 3 and seasons 4 characters be eligible, or will it just focus on seasons 1 and 2? Evan said it is all seasons of G1 and the Japanese G1 and anything that was animated. They are all on the table. But I wanted to get to this spot where they were asking about Metroplex, and he was saying that we're going to have to wait on it, but at the same time, they want Metroplex to be bigger than the normal Titan. And I'm just trying to scroll through here and find where he said that. But that's exciting. As far as like just knowing that they do have plans to do the new do another Metroplex, because a lot of people missed out on him. And that Thrilling 30s Metroplex was one of the most fun play sets to me. As far as like, Triptychon is fun too, because of the little headmaster spots where you can peg all the headmasters inside of the city on that little teeny peg and they can stand on it. But as far as like playability, Metroplex was a very fun toy. Mine has suffered some leg damage over the years. It still works. Like I can just, the leg doesn't come off, but if you have him, you know what I'm talking about. The bottom part of the leg opens up to become like the command center in city mode. After years of me playing with it, opening and closing, it finally just snapped away. So in robot mode, I can just sit it next to it and snap it on. In robot mode, I just stand him up and snap it back on. I found it. It was in the notes. So it was right there in the notes at the very bottom. It says, we're getting smaller Titan figures now, but is the older, bigger size still possible? When we get to Metroplex, we need to do better than Titan. So there we go. Finally found it. I finally found it, ladies and gentlemen. There's the answer to the question. So Metroplex could very well be our Haslab. So let me know, what do y'all think about this? Because to me, like that was one of the main things that I took away from reading this interview. How awesome would that be? At the same time, would it be weird if Metroplex was the same size as this? You know what I mean? Because then that defeats the purpose all over again of having him be the largest. At the same time, when Metroplex was released in the Thrilling 30s, that box clearly stated that during that time, he was the biggest toy, exceeding the original Fortress Maximus by like a hair. Because the original Fort Max from, what was that, 87, I think, 87, 88, 87, 88, 80, whatever. The point is, he was the biggest back then until Thrilling 30s Metroplex came out, who then toppled off. Because I think Fort Max was like almost 24 inches, and whereas this Metroplex is just a hair over 24 inches. But then they came out with this, which is 33. So if they did a 33-inch Metroplex full as a Haslab, that would be just mind-blowing. But again, it's Hasbro. We have no idea when that is actually coming, unless they announce it this year, which would be stupid because we all almost know for 99.7% know that it should be Promise. But we'll see, because sometimes they like to throw stuff in to just throw us off. Like Promise might be next year. You know what I mean? But I don't know. We'll see. Eventually, we're supposed to find out this spring or later this year what the HASLab is going to be. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is your buddy, the 14th Prime. Like, love, share, subscribe, do all that great stuff that you usually do. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think about this giant Metroplex that we should get probably around 2030?